Hello. This video is one in a series that talks about how to create custom operating systems using the PCMTEC editor. This video is going to be about creating a multi-tune custom operating system, allowing on-the-fly map switching with the cruise control button and a configurable launch tune. To get started, we start in the PCMTEC editor main screen. Go to Calibration Tools and select FMT Custom OS Configuration. Once this loads, you'll see we have a gray screen and we can't do anything except open a file or create a file or load a file. I'm going to open a file that's unlicensed. Once this file is open, you see that I don't currently have it licensed. Now, I have another file that has been licensed for flashing and for custom operating system. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select Merge License Info. So I'm going to select my tune licensed. This is a tune that I have licensed to my car and for the custom operating system. And as you can see what that did, now the file says it's licensed. All of the tune slots and all of the settings have populated. So for the multi-tune, I'm going to create a launch tune and then 3 additional tune slots. So tune 1 is your base tune. That's the tune that you're loading this all from. And you can have these be anything you want them to be. Your creativity and your imagination is really the limit here. It's probably best to focus on a few specific use cases and tailor it to those. But if you're experimenting with your own car or a friend's car or something, you can get pretty complicated and crazy with these tune slots. But we're going to start over here with the settings. So this is only going to be a multi-tune. So I'm going to select for the tune blend flex type, tune only select via cruise control. For my keep alive memory, since all we're doing is a tune only, I'm going to select tune only memory. I do want the launch tune available in all the tune slots, but you can pick what tune slots you want that available in. For example, if you were putting a Ghost Cam tune in slot 4, maybe you wouldn't want the launch tune to also work in that slot. But for right now, I'm going to leave them all enabled. We have options for brake pedal interlock. This allows us to activate the launch tune with the cruise control button and potentially with the brake pedal. So no brake pedal interlock allows the launch tune to activate just with the cruise control button. The brake pedal interlock allows the launch tune to activate holding the brake pedal and the cruise control activation button. And then you can release the cruise control button and the launch tune stays enabled while the brake pedal is depressed. And then finally, the brake pedal interlock latched. This activates the launch tune when you're on the cruise control activation button and the brake pedal, and it won't deactivate the launch tune until you let off both. We're going to leave no brake pedal interlock because I want this to be a rolling RPM limiter. And I'm going to select the variable launch RPM, and then finally, you can select what dash you have. If I have an American market car, so I'm going to select miles per hour. So now that the base settings are selected, we can go on to adding parameters to the different tune slots. So first, I'm going to configure my launch tune. So my launch tune is going to be very, very simple. It's just going to be a spark limiter to allow the launch tune to have more throttle opening and less spark. When you release the activation button, it doesn't have to open the throttle as far, because that's kind of how the launch tune works. It holds your throttle to whatever opening it needs to maintain a speed. But if you reduce the spark a little bit, it'll keep the throttle body open more, which could be beneficial if you have a turbocharged car or something like that. So I'm going to add my cylinder pressure limit table. So what you do is you find your table. I know the table number. You select the checkbox right next to it, and you click the little arrow that points it to the tune slot you want to use. Now, if you put something in there that you didn't want to use, you can just select it and click the left button, and it takes it out. But we want cylinder pressure, so we're going to add that in there. The next thing that I'm going to build is a novelty tune that's one of my favorites, and it's Pops and Bangs or Popcorn or Crackle Tune or whatever you want to call it. I'm going to add that into tune slot 2. So the way I do it, I need 3 tables. So I'm going to find my MBT spark table for the mapped point that I want to use. Mapped point 1, I'm going to select that and add it. I'm going to find the distance table that I use at idle. Check the box, add it. And then I'm going to find the coasting fuel shutoff max load. This way I can make it so coasting fuel doesn't enable, so it keeps the fuel flowing while I'm decelerating. So again, you just select the boxes and you add it to the tune slot that you want to do. Now, while I'm showing you this, one thing you can do, if you have a parameter that you want to add to multiple tables, you can check the box next to it, and then you can pick this drop down and you can pick which slot you want to add it to. So say I also wanted the CFC enable load max in tune 3. I can select tune 3 and I can click copy to. As you can see, it showed up right there. But I don't need that, so I'm going to take it out. So this is all I need for my pops and bangs tune. Tune 3, I'm going to configure this as a really simple valet tune. I have a Whipple supercharged car, and I'm going to configure a load limit so the car can never go into boost if I were to put it in somebody else's hands. So for this one, I'm going to pick my low speed pre-ignition limit table. I'm going to select that and add it here. And then finally, for tune 4, I'm going to add a ghost cam tune. Now, there's a couple things you can do with these tables. So say you have something that you know works. You can select the boxes. You can click save. And you can create a parameter file. Now, I've already got one. That's a pops and bangs template. But you save it as a parameter file. You can name it whatever you want. And you can save it. And then, in the future, if you're making another tune, you can just load that, set your values up, and you're good to go. There's also the option to save the values and import the values. So if I had already tuned these, I could come back in here and I could export this with the values. So the next time that I go to import it into a tune, they just drop right in and there's no tuning required. So I have a ghost cam template that I know works well in my car and it has the values populated. So for tune 4, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select values. I'm going to select load. I'm going to go to my ghost cam file that I know works on my car. And I'm going to select that. And you can see that it loaded all the parameters that I need to make ghost cam work on my car. And when we get back into the main tune, you're going to see that all of these have been edited and modified to work how I want them to work. So that's what it takes to set up a basic Multitune custom OS file in the wizard. So once that's done, you select Build and Save Custom OS. This is going to ask you to save the file. So now we're in the Save dialog, and I'm going to name this one Multitune. Click Save. Now when this closes, you're going to be back in the main editor. You're going to see 3 new sets of parameters in the navigator. In the Custom OS operating system configuration, you're going to see multiple parameters that some of them you configured in the Multitune wizard and some of them are configurable still. So for example, you cannot select what kind of tune file you want other than inside the wizard. But you can check your launch control brake interlock. You can select what tune files you want. But there's a bunch of settings in here. Most of them you can leave alone, but they are here in case you want to tweak them. Additionally, there's a few tables that are specific to power blending and ethanol or flex fuel. So we're going to leave those alone for now. And then finally, there's the flex fuel and Multitune custom OS tables. So this tree right here in the navigator is where you're going to find your 4 different tune slots. So in the launch tune, remember we loaded our cylinder pressure. You can set this to whatever you want, and it's different. It's going to be different than the cylinder pressure configured for the base tune. So if I go to the same table number, 73877, and load it, you'll see, now these are both the same, but you can see this one is for the launch tune in the custom OS, and this one is the one that's in the base file. If we go back in here, so we saw our launch tune. You can configure this however you want. You could limit the spark when you're on your rolling RPM limiter. Now we go to tune 2. This is, remember, our pops and bangs tune. So I know that if I'm going to set this up, I want this to go to 0. I want to pull timing out of here a little bit. And then I'm going to set the coasting fuel enable to a really low number that, as long as it's above that, the coasting fuel will remain on. And it's as simple as that to set up pops and bangs. For our valet tune, our load limit's 3, so that's going to allow it to make any amount of boost it can make. I'm going to lower this to 0.7, and that should really severely limit how much power the car can make. And then finally, our ghost cam tune. You can see those are all red. Those have all already been changed. So all of the parameters that I saved the values for, it loaded them in here for me. So if I go in and I look at my idle minimum, I can look at the current and I can look at the stock file, and you can see it's imported the parameters exactly how I have them configured. Those are the basics on setting up a Multitune custom operating system file in the PCMTEC editor. Thanks for watching.